Go for it. Welcome back, everyone. We've had a few questions on this job, to be fair. We haven't been able to show all the prep due to timings. So I'll give you a bit of a background. This was actually done by a builder. So the builder's done the whole extension. And we're talking, over a year ago. They'd done the screed, concrete wagon came in, pumped everything in. They built the extension. I'm not sure to the extent whether they had the kitchen, but he ended up getting kicked off site. He'd done all the screeding on top. And I believe they had somebody to fit some laminate flooring. I'm not sure whether the builder had done that but he ended up getting kicked off the job either way because the quality and the issues. They lived with it, they cracked on, and then they ended up calling us in because the laminate started falling apart. So all this screed, we've had a few questions whether it's something we subcontracted in or whether it's something that's already been done. So it's a few months old and it's taken a bit of time for it to just start cracking and under pressure. So, I mean, as you saw, we dug it all out, got it right back down to the concrete. It was a weak screed, so we couldn't exactly just prime straight to that. We used an epoxy primer, essentially, Kelmore's DPM, to consolidate the screed. So what we did was we ground the screed back and removed all the lignite, all the big chunks as much as we could. There was quite a lot within this, to be honest. It was heavily contaminated. And we've used the DPM over the quarry tiles after we've cleaned them up and ground them off to act as a damp-proof membrane. And on top of the screed that was there, we've used the epoxy to consolidate it, which has given us a nice, firm, solid base to put our screed over the top. Obviously the prep's sort of taken a little bit longer than anticipated. I mean, to be fair, we only got the DPM down last night about 10 o'clock, hence why we haven't recorded that going down. And then this morning, we've raced here early morning to get the screed on. So we're a little bit under the time constraint there. So, I mean, a lot of our jobs, we sort of do what we can in our timings. We don't cut corners on the prep. So where we've spent more time getting it to where it needs to be, I mean, it's cost us 2 full days just to get it ready to actually put something on. We've then saved the time by selecting a different screed. So this one here is a latex. We originally planned for a water mix, but because we're losing a bit of time, we decided, and I think they hadn't got the outside tap put in time. So we can work with it. We're using the Kelmore Absolute 30. It's a bag and bottle, so it's latex mix. Can go straight onto the DPM without a primer, as long as you're within the 48-hour window. The only thing I would say with this type of screed, especially on like a fair decent, this is like hole downstairs. So with the scale, and you got a lot high solar gain. So if it's your first time using this type of screed, I probably wouldn't recommend using it, just because it's quite quick to grow off. The idea is it's walk on within 30 minutes and you can fit on within 90 minutes. So when you've got a lot of high solar gain coming in, you really need to either, first of all, you need to regulate your porosity of the screed, which obviously going on the DPM, we're absolutely fine. And you need to regulate the amount of temperature. That's why we've come nice and early, got it out before the sun comes out as best we can, because it will start going off on you, especially if you haven't used like an epoxy to consolidate the screed and you just put a water-based primer. This is just going to suck all the moisture straight out of it and you're going to get loads of pinholes. So thankfully we've got it all screeded now. So we've checked the levels all across. We're absolutely bang on. There's a couple of areas where we just want to touch up with the, going to use the feather finish. Levels are fine. I think we've got 1 or 2 small places where there's a tiny dip, one beneath your feet, which is level. So this part here is perfectly level, but I can just see a slight shadow line of where the quarry tiles join the concrete. Because we didn't want to put any sort of mortars or anything on this while it was weak, we used the epoxy. So I just want to touch that with a bit of feather. It doesn't need a lot, because when the sun shines in on here, if we don't address that, although it's completely smooth and flat, you will see it. So we just want to touch that. And I think there was one more spot I wasn't quite there with. I think it's the back of this doorway. Again, there was a 35mm deviation here. I think it's just the back of the doorway there where I can just feel something with my finger, but again, that's a really small area. But other than that, everything else is perfectly level and nice and smooth. So yeah, when you're doing screeds like this, again, you need to be critical because it's got to be perfect for LVT. So although we've done a fantastic job in getting it level, we need to make sure that there's no surface imperfections because they will just blossom through. Obviously just picked a honey oak LVT from the textures range. It's a nice light colour, so as soon as the sun hits that, you're going to see any ripples or trail marks if your screed's not perfect. So again, if you are doing something like this, probably go with something that's got a bit more flow and a bit more working time, like the Kelmore do the Pro, which is basically the absolute 30, but your regular normal walk on in 90 minutes, fit on in 4 hours. But it's just what we had pallets of. We use flex and fibre in the absolute 30, so we just switched it up last minute. But yeah, so the next stage is going to be marking out. So this has had about an hour to dry. We went and had a bit of a coffee, come back. It's still a bit soft in places, but it's enough to walk on. So we just want to give it a bit of time. And to be fair, we'll grab that off there, Kai. Let me grab that. This is where this comes in. Shout out to Sam and Luke at My Scribe for giving us this at the flooring show. This is probably our second job with it. I think we had a couple-week job before then, so we've only had a chance to really use it once. Before then, it was a really small kitchen. So yeah, we'll use the trammel bar, get our centre line, get it nice and straight, make sure our herringbone's running true and plumb, and we'll reference throughout the whole job. And then obviously we've got an island to contend with. This particular job's having a border, so we'll try and show a bit of that going on as well, and how we deal with cutting into border. I mean, personally, we like to glue our border in first, and then we'll use basically wet set adhesive, get the field in as we go, and then use the Wolf lino cut to cut the edge in. But yeah, so we'll try and show you a bit more on the installation as we go, but obviously with the prep timings, coming here at 10 o'clock at night to put down the DPM wasn't going to be the time to record that. So if people want to see that, let us know, and we'll do some videos on using the epoxy and give a bit more details and technical on it. But yeah, I think the next stage is going to be feather up those 2 spots. We'll get this centre line. We've got plenty of time to mark up, and then we'll start getting some boards out, get the flooring in. One thing to note, especially if you're doing a job like this with high solar gain, make sure you acclimatise the floor. What we tend to do is we'll acclimatise a few packs that we know we're going to open up, because there's nowhere to put it on this job. So we'll have it either at home or move from the unit into the house, and we'll acclimatise maybe like 10 packs or something, let it warm up, and the rest we'll put some over in the heat, some over in the corner. Make sure you take them out of the pack and let them, because otherwise what'll happen is if you've had it in a unit and it's been nice and cold and you go and start laying straight into the sun, it's going to expand open. Doesn't matter about your adhesive, it's going to expand and contract. So make sure you do acclimatise on stuff like this. But yeah, we'll try and show what we can. So stay tuned for more.